So, a very warm welcome to our channel, Sri Venkateswara Bank Coaching Center, Nandyal. For more videos, like and subscribe our channel, SVBCC Indian. Thank you. Let's check. The next topic, what you take here is nothing but data interpretation. So, look at the topic here. As per the weightage, it's very, very important. Clear. So, especially all the government exams and as well as bank exams, in that cases, it's very, very important. Coming to the point of banking exams, it's more important here. In the case of preliminary exams, all the cases, IBPS, rural banks, or whatever the bank POs or clerks, whatever it is, mainly we know all the cases will be around 35 marks. Out of that 35, it will be around 10 marks only from its data interpretation will be there. And coming to the point of main exams, we know it's a prelims and mains, it will be there. In the case of mains, especially in the case of IBPS, POs, and SBI, it's purely data interpretation will be there in the case of main exam. Whatever the questions it will be there, it's purely depend upon data interpretation. This is how the data interpretation plays a major role in the case of banking exams and especially the remaining exams, railway, SSC, all these cases. Clear. First of all, let us understand what is this data interpretation. So, data interpretation means it's nothing but analysis of data. We are going to analyze the data. So, what type of analysis will be there? So, there will be a data followed by some questions. They'll give a data followed by some questions. We have to understand the data clearly, whatever it is given, and depend upon that, we have to solve the questions. Look at when you're taking data interpretation, what type of data it will be given. Look at here, data it will be given in different forms. Let's check what type of data it will be given. So, whatever the data they are giving, so that it depend upon the diagrams whatever they represent. For example, they will give in the form of tabular diagrams like row wise, column wise, like that it will be there. And they will give in the form of graphs like x and y coordinate axis if you take it. So in that, line graphs, bar graphs, radar graphs, I'll explain while taking the questions. So what type of graphs will get, what type of graphs those are called. And pie diagrams, it will be represented in the form of circular diagram, caselets. That is what you call theory based questions. And missing data interpretation, data it will be given, and some cases there will be some data is missing. We have to find out the missing data in that. So these type of data cases it will be there. So these are the data forms: tabular diagrams, graphs, pie diagrams, caselets, missing data interpretation. These things will be there. Clear. So whatever the cases we take it, so in all the cases, they will represent some data. So what type of data it will be there? So the data it will be regarding anything here. It may be company data or college data or anything. Recent days now, in the case of IBPS and SBI, they're giving the data with respect to the arithmetic parts. They're giving with respect to the time and work. They're giving with respect to time and distance, averages, profit and loss, like that. Different type of data they're giving. On that, they're asking questions. So on that data means what they're asking. If the data is given on time and work, definitely the questions it will be with respect to the time and work. If they're given on time and distance, definitely the questions will be with respect to the time and distance, like that. So recent days I said they're giving the data with respect to the arithmetic topics. Automatically the questions also will be in there on arithmetic topics. Clear. And look at what type of questions will be there. So I said this is the data, how it will be presented, a tabular diagram like that. And the data means I said it will be anything, any type of data, any sort of data it will be there. And the data it will represent in these forms. And I said the data it might be arithmetic topics or some related basic topics, anything. Sometimes it may be mensuration, probability, like that. Any type of data it will be given. So on that, how they will ask you questions. Mostly any data interpretation cases, how they will ask you. Around 5 questions would be there here, any diagram. Mostly the questions, if it is a basic theory questions, that means normal college data or school data or company data, like that cases, what they'll ask you: average, ratio, sum. Clear. Mostly the questions depend upon these points. What is the average between those items, ratio between those items, sum of that, difference of that. These are the cases what they will ask you. And remaining cases, if they given data on time and work, definitely they'll ask you questions with respect to time and work. And if it is arithmetic data, definitely the questions on there on arithmetic part. If it is a normal data, mostly the questions it will be there on the averages, ratios, and some of the objects, difference of the object, like that the questions will be. Most of the cases it will be 5 questions will be there, whatever the topic you take it. Clear. And how we are going to take these things in the sense, a simple point. Let's check. Only 2 points you have to follow when you're taking data interpretation here. That is nothing but analysis of data, and second point is nothing but approximation. Remember these 2 points, that's it. Analysis of data in the sense, first of all, you have to understand the data clearly. What is exactly data presented? In any data interpretation diagram, the first thing you have to do it is nothing but analyze the data clearly. If you understand the data clearly, taking questions on that, it's very, very easy. The first thing, you have to clearly analyze the data. What is exactly given? What you have to find out? That point, if you get a clarity, taking questions on that, it's always very easy. Second point is nothing but approximation. So once the data is given, we are going to take the questions on that. Maybe you can take approximation, maybe you can take the ratios, maybe you can take the percentages. That's very, very important. So they can ask you percentage with respect to the objects, averages, percentages, ratios. These things maybe they will ask you on general data. So when you're taking these cases, the ratios point or percentage point, approximations are very, very important. For example, if you take any division part, let if I 26 by 25, 26 by 25 means 25, it's not divisible, we'll get some data. For example, 25 once 25, we'll write like that. So we'll take approximated values. For example, let 483 by nearly, for example, I got 500. I'll cancel 500 one time, like that. So like that, first of all, we'll do approximation for any problem here. So why I'm saying this approximation point in the sense, for any problem, the data interpretation, first we'll do approximation. If approximation is not working, then we'll go for exact calculation. That means what? For example, it depends upon options here. For example, let if I said, for example, if it is 24 by 25 is there, and the options have 1, 2, 3, 4, like these options are there. Second case option, I have 0 0.9, 0 0.92, 0 0.86, 0.85, like these options are there. For example, if it is in this case, if I write 25 by 20, it is equal to 1, I can take directly one option in this case. For example, the options are like this. So in this case, 24 by 25 definitely less than 1. I require exact value. What is for that? So that cases will go for exact calculation. Otherwise, mostly I said we'll go for approximation point. That's why I said approximation is very important. Generally, in the data interpretation, we'll do approximation. If approximation doesn't work, then only we'll go for exact calculation part. Clear? And one more thing, let's check. So approximation, when you're taking asset, always will take approximation part here. If it doesn't work, then only we'll go for asset exact calculation. So analysis and approximation. And when you're taking data also, it's very, very important. So what type of data it will be there? Asset, line graph, bar graph, these type of graphs will be there. So look at, when you're taking data, what is the point you have to remember? So tabular diagrams, no issues. Directly, it's a row wise, column wise data, clearly it will be mentioned. And when you're taking graphs, line graphs, bar graphs, radar graphs. So when you're taking line graphs, in the sense, it will be x and y coordinate axis. It will be represented in the form of line x and y axis. As I said, it will be company A, company B, company C, company D. Like the data, it will be given. So what you do is nothing but, first of all, I said we have to understand the data clearly. We have to analyze the data clearly. Now what you do, it will be given in the form of graphs. Then what you do here, we'll retrieve the data first. So we'll take the data from the graphs first. After that, we'll go for the questions on that. That's why I said understand the data clearly. So we have to retrieve the data from the graph. So let's convert that data into form of a table, either line graph, bar graph, radar graph. Convert into form of a table. That means converting in the sense nothing is there here. We'll retrieve all the data from that graphs, whatever it is there, then directly go for the questions on that. While taking the questions, I'll explain that point. Why are retrieving the data? Clear? And bar graph, radar graph, all these cases. And especially when you're taking circular diagrams, it will be represented in the form of sectors. Basically, it will be represented in the form of sectors. When you're taking sectors cases, two cases. One, it will be given in the form of angles. Other, it will be given in the form of percentages. If it is given in the form of angles, like 30 degrees, 40 degrees, like that, generally, mostly all the things it will be together, it's nothing but 360 degrees. Sometimes it will be given in the form of percentages, 10%, 12%, 15%, like that. If it is given in the form of percentages, altogether it is 100%. Look at here, when you're taking data interpretation cases, especially spy sectors, if it is in the form of percentages, altogether it is 100%. If it is the form of angles, altogether 360 degrees. And caselets means this is also nothing but it's like a theory based questions will be there here. From that also we'll retrieve the data in the form of a table. And missing data interpretation. This is nothing but sometimes it will be tabular diagrams or circular diagrams. So data will be missing in that cases. They will not give the complete data. We have to retrieve the data. And except these cases, sometimes you have one more point, that is nothing but mixed diagrams. Mixed in the sense, a line graph will be given the tabular graph. Clear, a bar graph with a radar graph, or a radar graph with a tabular graph, pie diagram with a tabular diagram, like that. Different combinations will be there. So we have to retrieve the data from that first again. So in any case, if you retrieve the data, taking questions on that, it's very easy. So why I'm saying retrieving the data, for example, if you take a line graph, if it is there, if you want any particular value, every time if you have to go for the graph means it will take time. That's why generally directly we'll retrieve the data. After that, we'll go for the questions on that. So while solving that, I'll explain that point. So why I'm saying that point, it's why we are converting the data into that cases. Clear? So simply this is the thing here. So they'll give the data, depend upon that we have to take the questions on that. So when you are giving the data, first of all, analyzation. That means we have to retrieve the data clearly. If it is a tabular, as I said, no doubt in that. So directly we'll get the data. Other than that cases, graphs, pie graphs, caselets, missing data interpretation. In these cases, first we'll retrieve the data clearly. Once you retrieve the data, we'll go for the questions on that. So simply one more point we have to understand here. In the case of data interpretation, uh, what are the do's is not that much important here. What are the nots? Why? Because do's in the sense it's a basic averages and ratios what you do it. And what are the do nots? These are very, very important when you're taking data interpretation. What are the do nots means? Generally, most of the people will do lot of mistakes, especially when you're taking data interpretation. Why? Because it's purely, mostly depend upon calculation part. Clear? Mostly depend upon. Why? Because everyone will know what is average, what is the ratio, what is the percentage between the objects. But when you're taking this calculation part, most of the people will do mistakes. Most of the people will do the mistakes, especially when you're taking data interpretation. So that cases, that do nots is very, very important. So I said do's we'll do very commonly. What is the average ratio percentages, that you do it very easily. What are the do nots? That's very, very important. So while taking the questions, I'll explain that point. What are the do nots? Generally, where you do the mistakes commonly, that cannot be repeated. While doing the questions, I'll explain that point. Clear? So simply, this is what is a basic idea on data interpretation. Clear? Now we'll go for some questions on that part.